Generational talent is different. Who are generationally talented quarterbacks to you?
I mean, present day or college kids?
If you go present
like in
day,
the NFL?
In the NFL, who's a
Lamar.
He ain't Lamar.
I'm not saying he's Lamar.
But it's the other thing, though. The people you're comparing him to, right? Like, let's just talk about the people you're comparing him to. You know what Lamar Jackson had by this point in college? A Heisman.
But Lamar played a lot more. He had stopped.
Because he was that good.
RC, Lamar's first start, he went 9 of 20 with a pick.
This is third start. Stop saying it's
against a real opponent.
It's his third.
Against a real opponent.
And also, too.
Okay, so we can go to
year in college.
But he hasn't played ball.
Because you know why? Because if you're Trevor Lawrence and you're a transcendent generational quarterback talent, Kelly Bryant can be the incumbent starter.
It all starts with chaos inside ESPN's studio before the game even kicks off. Ryan Clark's sitting there cool and calm, but you can see it in his eyes. He's had enough. Dan Orlovski.
Things got real heated in the ESPN studios as Ryan Clark completely destroyed Dan Orlovski over his Arch Manning generational take. Now, we've seen Dan Orlovski's bad take on Shedeur Sanders, and Ryan Clark has had enough. But we're gonna, guys, man, I'm here to tell you, man, it seems like Ryan Clark has had enough of Dan Orlovski's bad takes when it comes to these quarterbacks. Now, we all seen and we've all heard Dan Orlovski's take on Shedeur Sanders. We also seen him compare Dylan Gabriel to Shedeur Sanders.
The king of quarterback hypotheticals starts running his mouth again about generational talent. And it's like watching someone light a match in a room full of fireworks. 1 second, it's a casual pregame discussion. The next, it's an explosion of truth bombs and pure television gold. Clark doesn't just disagree, he detonates. This wasn't a debate, it was a demolition.
Orlovski gets, he keeps on bigging up Arch Manning to make Arch Manning one of the greatest quarterbacks he's seen in college history. Now, there's a long list of quarterbacks that we can talk about in college that was great. But the thing about it is Dan Orlovski's takes on these quarterbacks, because Dan Orlovski was a quarterback himself. And like I stated to you guys, man, Dan Orlovski likes mediocrity. He likes mediocre players because he was a mediocre quarterback himself. And Dan Orlovski takes
the kind of moment that makes you sit up, rewind, and wonder if you really just saw that happen live. Orlovski starts talking about Arch Manning like he's the second coming of Patrick Mahomes. He drops words like rare, elite, and generational. But he's barely talking about game tape. It's all measurables, speed stats, and family legacy. Clark finally leans forward, his tone steady but surgical. Can you define what that means? He asks. And just like that, the whole room shifts. You can feel it. Clark isn't asking to learn.
My analysis on Shedeur Sanders for the people that messaged me, Uncle Tom, or commented, fool, I do want to say something to you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, and that's kiss my I'm not going to holler sabotage and racism when I don't truly believe something is sabotage and racism. I did have a problem with the way Shedeur Sanders was covered in the pre-draft process. The anonymous reports demeaning a young man's character who had never done anything wrong away from the field, had never shown anything.
He's asking to expose. Because deep down, everyone knows Orlovski's been coasting on buzzwords, building hype for players who haven't done a damn thing yet. Generational, Clark says again. What does that mean? Orlovski tries to back it up with numbers. He's 6'4", 225 pounds, clocked at 21 miles an hour, rare bloodlines. Clark doesn't even blink. When did speed make you generational? He shoots back. When did size define dominance? The studio goes silent. You can almost hear the producers in the booth whispering, "Let him cook," because Clark is cooking.
100%.
Can you define to me what that means?
Well, generational talent would be that you have physical attributes that are rare and unique. When did 6'4", 225 pounds, 4'5", 4'6" in the 40?
None of those things.
100%. He's 100% 6'4", 220 plus pounds, and is like 4'5", 4'6", and 40. Got clocked at 21 miles an hour on GPS. When did that not become at the quarterback spot generational physical ability, let alone elite, rare bloodlines when it comes to the quarterback?
Flame-throwing, actually. Then comes the hammer. Clark lays it out plain. Mediocre quarterbacks love mediocrity. It's not just a jab, it's a thesis statement. Every word hits like a punch. Clark's not even talking to Orlovski anymore. He's talking through him. He's calling out a whole generation of analysts who once struggled on the field, but now act like they're the gatekeepers of greatness. It's uncomfortable because it's true. Orlovski tries to smirk it off, but the tension's real. For years, he's made a career out of propping up unproven QBs while ignoring players who've actually delivered when it mattered. That's when the conversation shifts from Arch Manning to Shedeur Sanders. And that's when things get nuclear. Clark doesn't even have to say Shedeur's name to make his point. The subtext is crystal clear. While guys like Arch get endless praise for potential,
Then who is, and how are we measuring it? Because we can't sit there and go, because of the way the first start on the road.
There's very few of them. I think there's less than what you think. I think John Elway was a generational talent. I think Patrick Mahomes is a generational talent. I don't think Tom Brady, I don't think Drew Brees, I don't think Peyton Manning are generational talents. I think Andrew Luck ended up being a generational talent. I don't think there's a ton of them out there.
But so then what? Then how does one, in your eyes, be a generational talent? Because there's not a lot of difference.
players like Shedeur have to claw their way to recognition, despite putting up numbers that should have ended every argument months ago. Orlovski keeps pushing his usual points: arm strength, frame, mechanics. But Clark stops him dead in his tracks, and then he delivers the line that breaks the internet. "I don't care what that little vest you wear on top of your nipple says." The studio loses it. That's not just a roast, it's a finish move. Clark isn't just tearing down bad logic, he's clowning the entire persona behind it. Orlovski's left sitting there in his fitted analyst vest, looking like the meme of the year. And Clark's not done. He pivots hard, turning the whole thing into a mirror for sports media. The issue isn't just Dan Orlovski. It's the system that lets Dan Orlovski be the authority. It's the bias, the selective narrative building, the obsession with bloodlines over production. Clark starts connecting the dots. How players with famous last names get called
RC, I thought you described it very well in our meeting this morning, what it is they are and aren't doing.
Yeah, what it is that they're doing is they're treating Shedeur Sanders like a fifth-round pick.
Right.
Right? We're not covering every fifth-round pick in the NFL, hoping that he gets an opportunity to be the starter on day one. We felt like, oh my goodness, they got a diamond in the rough. Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round. They felt like they evaluated him there, and that's where
generational after a few decent snaps, while proven guys get picked apart for their mechanics or their conference. It's a double standard that's been brewing in sports commentary for years, and Clark just ripped the lid off. He doesn't even have to mention Shedeur outright, because everyone watching knows that's who he's talking about. The fans know. The players know. Every coach who's ever seen Shedeur light up a defense knows. Clark calls out the hypocrisy. You can't call someone generational after 3 starts just because of their name. Generational means you changed the game. You shifted the culture. You made the league notice. That's what Trevor Lawrence did. That's what Caleb Williams did. That's what Lamar Jackson did. And guess what? Shedeur Sanders is doing it right now. Clark walks the audience through it, piece by piece. Shedeur didn't just join programs, he transformed them. He didn't just show flashes, he built foundations.
Shedeur Sanders is being set up to fail narrative. Who do you want to start the game? It's preseason week 1. First option, Joe Flacco. He's played for like 20 years. He's not going to start preseason week 1. The next 2 options would be a Kenny Pickett or a Dylan Gabriel. Both are dealing with hamstring injuries. Neither has practiced a ton recently. If they've done anything, I believe it's been 7-on-7. Who do you want to start the game? The next 2 options are Shedeur and Snoop Huntley. Shedeur's been there.
At Jackson State, he turned a program that barely registered on the national radar into a powerhouse. At Colorado, he flipped the narrative of an entire team overnight. That's impact. That's generational energy. And yet, analysts like Orlovski can't see it because they're too busy chasing hype instead of results. The irony is painful. Orlovski starts scrambling, tossing out lines about NIL deals and draft position, But Clark's expression doesn't change. He's calm, deadly, and completely unmoved. He knows he's winning this debate not with volume, but with truth. Real talent doesn't need hype, Clark says. Real talent forces recognition. You can't buy it, can't fake it, can't spin it. Either you've got it or you don't. And Shedeur's got it. That's when it really starts to sink in for everyone watching. Clark isn't just defending one player. He's holding the entire sports media accountable. The message is bigger than the argument.
Moves slowly, kind of trying to see what's going on, and then that creates that sack fumble. So a lot of the stuff that we just saw in college is a big deal. This ball gets snapped at the 48-yard line. Defense has won the rep. Play is dead. Throw the ball away.
Yep.
It's first down. But instead we run and it's a 2.5, 3-yard loss. So instead of being 2nd and 10, we're 2nd and 13. We're dead. Again, here's the opportunity to throw the juke route. Hold, scramble. So some of those things that I was and others were concerned about on the college tape showed itself again. This is not the end of the world, though. This is part of his development in becoming a potential starting.
It's about the credibility of every analyst who's ever looked down on players who didn't fit their narrative. Now the debate's over, but Clark's still rolling. He starts breaking down the culture of evaluation itself. We praise potential and ignore proof, he says, and the line lands like a touchdown spike. Every viewer at home nods because they've seen it too. The system has been favoring hype over hard work for years, and nobody in the studio has ever had the guts to say it out loud, until now. Clark names names without naming them. He brings up Mahomes, Lamar, Trevor, Andrew Luck, guys who walked into the league and changed it immediately. That's what generational looks like, he says. Not a 3-game resume. Orlovski, trying to stay relevant, starts leaning on measurables again. He's quoting speed stats, vertical jumps, bench numbers, but it's all noise. Clark cuts him off mid-sentence.
Shedeur may not have had reps with the ones. What else do you want them to do in Cleveland? It's an opportunity for him. It may not be the ideal opportunity. Very rarely is it for a 5th-round pick, but it's an opportunity for him to go out there and do in a game what many have reported he's done in practice. Stop with the setup to fail narrative.
You can't measure leadership on a stopwatch. Boom. The crowd's reaction says it all. It's the truth nobody in sports media wants to admit. You can't analyze heart. You can't chart poise. You can't plug belief into a spreadsheet. That's what makes the Shedeur Sanders conversation so explosive. Every measurable says he's solid, but every intangible says he's special. Clark knows that. He lived that. And the way he delivers it, calm, confident, and surgical, makes Orlovski look like a kid arguing with a teacher who wrote the textbook. The debate spirals, but it's one-sided now. Dan's scrambling for footing, throwing in excuses about systems, coaching, and development, but it's over. The audience can see who's actually speaking from experience. Clark isn't trying to win a segment. He's trying to fix a narrative. And as he keeps talking, you can tell this isn't about ego. It's about fairness. It's about every player who's ever been told they're not elite enough, while someone with better PR gets the spotlight. The beauty of it all is that Clark never yells. He doesn't need to. His calm makes it worse for Orlovski because it's confidence, not emotion. It's the sound of someone who's been there, seen it, lived it, and now he's calling out the game for what it really is. The vest line keeps echoing though. It's already gone viral.
Multiple times. And now you want me to say the one team that did decide to draft him doesn't have his best interests at heart. The thing is, he was a 5th-round draft pick. 5th-round draft picks get 5th-round treatment, even if we don't feel like they deserve to be drafted in the 5th round. So you're gonna play with some guys who don't make the team. You know who else you're gonna play against?
Memes, tweets, highlight reels. Clark just created one of the most iconic sports media moments in years. But under the comedy, the message is serious. It's a call out to the industry. Stop selling hype. Stop crowning players before they've earned it. Stop undervaluing the ones who already have. By now, the debate's not even about Arch Manning or Shedeur Sanders anymore. It's about integrity. It's about holding analysts to the same standards they hold players to. Clark's entire career, his discipline, his intelligence, his authenticity, it's all on display. And Orlovski, he's sitting there realizing this might be the day his reputation takes a permanent hit. He tries to pull the 5th round pick card, saying teams passed on Shedeur for a reason. But Clark's ready. That's the same logic that kept stars waiting for years, because someone couldn't see their value until it was too late. He says, "You can't coach that kind of blindness out of people, and that's when it hits."